So from now, if we could just get the speakers to come up and we'll do a quick panel session. We'll have 10 to 15 minutes of questions. Anyone in the audience, if you've got any questions, please put your hand up. We'll send the microphone around and direct the question to the relevant speaker. We've got one more microphone up there, sorry. I'll hand this to you guys. Do we have any questions from the audience? Come on, don't be shy. Here we go, Mr. Thompson.
Danny, I was really impressed with your presentation, and I learned so much about someone that I thought I knew a bit about, so very endearing. I was really interested, you said that you had the acronym ARISE, and you said that you didn't realise that you were living by that, but it was something that just developed. I'm just wondering when you sort of sat down and thought about it and thought, wow, this is what I actually do, and what that meant, and if that made a difference, if that made you even stronger, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. So something that I've got actually some old school friend, or an old school friend / my first love, in the audience. So you know me really well. In school, I became obsessed with sport and exercise, and I couldn't understand my fixation with, I was doing a little athletics, I was doing gym, I was playing football, I was playing football as in soccer, I was playing touch footy, and I never really thought about it too much until I realised that I was throwing myself into these activities because they were positive and toward behaviours. I felt a part of a community because I didn't feel like I had a family, I guess, because we were very dysfunctional and emotionally broken, and no one really addressed it openly. So I threw myself into sport because I felt like I was a part of something, and I was always growing and becoming stronger and distracting myself, maybe helping with the anxiety and depression. So when I think I really formally sat down and came up with this 5-step strategy in 2015, I was actually, when my mum died, Cherie Jonathan actually suggested, she goes, I think you should take a break. I think you should just take some time for you because you're not dealing with it. Because I sort of went stony cold, and that was how I coped. I sort of used to withdraw and go into myself and not talk about things. And I actually went to a spirit festival, and I met someone who said my heart chakra was congested. And I was like, this person's nuts. Like, you don't know me. But it forced me to sit down and think of how was I getting through things, and I faced things a little bit more seriously, and I started writing out the things that I liked about myself and the toward behaviours that I displayed, and it tended to be a lot of things like I smile when I feel uncomfortable because it gets me through. I try to find the silver lining in everything. Every scenario where it goes negative, I seem to be positive. So I just started writing down these words, and they became affirmations that I used to meditate on. So yeah, it was sort of just began in 2015 when I thought I was at that crossroads, and I started fostering those 5-step systems. And even now, you know, things will go wrong and I'll go, okay, positive, it is what it is. How do we move on from this? Go for a walk, clear your head. And yeah, I don't always implement all 5 steps, but definitely an integral part.
Thanks, Danny. Any other questions? Beautiful.
Thanks. Look, a common theme across each of your talks was getting perspective, seeing things from a different angle, whether it was an experience that happened to you or, you know, helping overseas and just getting different experiences and perspectives. So what do you say to when you see people that seem to be so caught up in themselves and don't get that perspective? And even if you reflect on what you would like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, when you mightn't have had the perspective that you've got now, what do you say to those sort of people when you see them today?
Yeah, that's the easy way, but you can't do that. The hard thing is you can't explain it to any, because you've got to live it in a way. So I can't say to you, oh well, I don't know, but I don't know if you've been through what I've been through. So you can't say, oh, you'll be right, mate. You just, you know, how you deal with it and how you see it is how you go about it. In my way, that's the way I think. I'm not sure about you guys. How would you say it?
What did you say? Yeah, so I mean, it depends, doesn't it? I mean, it depends on context, and I think telling stories is, that's what tonight's been about. And, I think about when our kids were growing up, and that kind of phrase of, out of adversity comes strength was one that I can remember using when they've gone through their challenges. And people will go through phases and people will have different experiences. And I think there are plenty of people that you run into and you kind of feel like saying, build a bridge and get over it. But you just don't know what their backstory is either. So I reckon persuasion and storytelling and, not necessarily confronting is a pretty good way to go. Unless you lose your temper and then you do that.
I kid, I don't do that. So an interesting part of my alter ego, my side job, so Rise Academy, a part of Rise Academy is it's a development school for girls. So it's sort of like deportment training. A lot of girls, or maybe not the guys, but girls will know what that is. It teaches women about self-esteem and about embracing who they are, and they will become who they will become. And when I encounter a lot of narcissism in beauty pageants, and it's really hard to listen to mundane, whiny, people who just whinge about things. You're like, really? There's people dying. There are people in the Philippines who are being human trafficked and beaten up. And it sometimes I just have to step back and go, they're still learning, they're still growing. You can't tell people to become who they're going to become. They just need to become that person and go through the motions. And I think perspective is important, but you have to want to go out and get it too. You can't just expect people to give a damn about something other than themselves. They have to grow to give a damn about something else other than themselves. So young people are young, and 5 year ago me makes me cringe. But you do grow. You just can't tell people to be something that they're not.
Question for Helen. Helen, at the start, Mike read the resume and it was expansive, and it just made me think that when you showed the picture of the family, it made me think, how do you keep on top of everything in terms of travel commitments, meetings, boards, papers, family obligations, all those things? Do you have any insights or tips, or how do you not become overwhelmed by the volume of activity in your life? Is there something about you or an approach or a style? What is it that makes you stay a step ahead of it?
I'm really sorry about that, CV. So I've got a great support team up there. Hi. In a funny kind of way, having a big family is easier because there's not a focus. And we've had our moments. I was reflecting the other day. Back in the day when you had to get kids from childcare, driving across the city, hoping not to be that parent who's the last one there. In those days, dictating notes that you kind of throw at a secretary the next morning to try to catch up. But everyone's kind of gone through that. And I think you learn to, there was so much that came out of these discussions today. You learn to control what you can control and try not to worry about things that you can't control. You're going to have your bad patches, and one of the challenges is always taking on too much, and then how do you prioritise that? But I think just making time to do things that replenish a bit, and I think particularly young women these days have a lot of pressure on them. Sorry, fellas. Young men do as well. But, giving yourself licence to do some things that give you some sense of regrouping. And so exercise is one, and I think that's a really important one. But for young women, it's actually, just thinking about stuff that they can enjoy and not feel that they, constantly striving. So I suppose that, you learn life's lessons, and I'm at the very different stage of life, and this is, as I said at the start, it's a great stage. All the kids are on their way, we've got 6 grandchildren, we've got fabulous careers, we've got a comfortable lifestyle. So it's easy at 63 to look back at that and think, well, I've got that under control. But it took a long time to build that, and there's a lot of processes on the way. But I think that the biggest thing is you've got to actually enjoy what you're doing, even if you're really busy. I think that's the message from you as well, and make time for yourself and for family, as well as actually pursuing the ambition and the careers and all those sorts of things. And there'll be good times and there'll be bad times through that.
Well, we'll conclude the evening there, but before we do, I'll just welcome Paul back up to the stage just to give our speakers a present for making their time available tonight. Each of these speakers could command a fee anywhere that they speak, along with Chris Helder. They've done it for free. They're adding value to the community. They've given up their time and time with their family. So we'd really like to put our hands together again for all our speakers tonight.
Look, thanks again, panel. It was a fantastic forum, so I certainly hope you got a lot out of it. In one of our previous sessions, we've indicated that we're looking to, as part of the Old Zavs alignment with the Old Xaverians alumni, we're looking to create a program for mentors, to mentor young people in our community. And Davina Callum, where are you, Davina? I lost you somewhere. Where are you? Davina's supposed to be here. So in her stead, I believe in positivity that I can make this message very clear. In the next few weeks, there'll be a broadcast message about creating a mentor program for our community. So for those of you be mentors or mentees, you can rest assured there'll be a launch, I think it's November, so stay tuned for that. In closing, once again, thanks so much for your time. It is a big ask of people to come out on a winter's evening and worst of all on a Monday night, so we thank you so much for your time. As mentioned, any spare change in your pocket that goes into that tin, it also helps those programs that are supporting those that are dealing with mental health and supporting those particular associations. So once again, thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you again next year. Thank you.